this. Fucking clicked enter not X. But why are we in the middle? Okay, no, we're not. Never mind, I'm an idiot. So again, right? We're back to this, right? Again, the last part and by this point, this is what part 19. I should have the black screen video for this out. Um, the big thing there is, yeah, and with this is we pretty much beat the game. We have pretty much a complete idea of what the story is. At this point, we're just going back and reading through these remaining logs. We have some Toko logs and some Lain ones. I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to go through these. If they were in order, maybe. The problem being they're not. So I'm not sure I really have the, I guess, what do you call it, motivation to like want, to go back and do that. And kind of the big thing there is actually, yeah, hold on, let's wait for a secret cutscene. Because now that we be in the game, it's like, I wonder if it'll change. But again, it's just something where it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe I just watch them in order, but the fact that they're so like out of order, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna like sift through all these. First secret cutscene post. All right, I don't know what that was, but yeah, I mean, I can go to the actual just website and kind of go through it all and like not do it kind of how we've been playing it. But I feel like that kind of takes away. And there's that with that, and I feel like there'd be no, real point to that because then I'm just reacting to it rather. I mean, this I'm basically reacting to rather than just playing it. But yeah, all right. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe this. I don't know how far these logs and diary entries are gonna go. So I guess we'll see. I mean, they're definitely. Dude, well, we know this doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure, if I recall. Back when our the problems were so simple, right? Versus what we it really is kind of crazy to think about this because with the show, right, you kind of have you had that idea, right? Just from seeing the first episode, it's like, okay, something ain't right here, it's kind of damn, it's gonna like what would you call it? It's gonna go haywire. But with this, oh Jesus, that was my knee. Like I really thought this game was gonna stay like grounded like this in content, but it did not. So I mean, I don't know what more like he could have done, right? See, but also like it seems to be a Toko issue. I hate to say, right? Like if this is a reoccurring. Also, it seems like the game's kind of like bugging out. Oh my God, a letter. I forgot to take place in the 90s. Letters anymore. And again, I think the most interesting thing will be what would you call it? When the log, whenever Toko meets Lain, right? I think that'll be, you know, very probably the most interesting one there. So, damn, finally cleaned your room, got off the fucking internet. Again, something I actually want to talk about, rooms, because I talked about was that, you can kind of, I don't remember what the context was, but I said basically you can like judge a person by kind of how they keep their room. But it's like, yeah, it's something where it's like this is seemingly the same place she's lived for what, like 4 years. So it's had time to collect and accumulate. I know for me the big thing is I've been in like very like temporary, like at least ever since, obviously in high school when I lived with my parents, I had my own room, but like pretty much college onwards, like it's been very like more temporary living conditions. Like when I get down to Louisiana, that'll be the first like more per, but even then it's not that much more fun. Yeah, big thing being, yeah, that's like because you move somewhere and then you accumulate things and then you can't like bring them all to the next place, right? So it's like you gotta get rid of them, but something where it's like at least you're doing like selling them off as opposed to throwing them out, right? Because a ton of people just fucking like dump them. So I'm curious to see the one where she meets Lain. We know this happens too in the lab. Okay, that's kind of on you though. Hate to say it. Raw. Oh, that's knowing at the end, right? It's like, oh my god. Little does she know what she's in for. I was gonna say this reminds me of the scene in fucking Interstellar where it's like you're looking at like the past, when it's like, it all started to go downhill. It's like you almost want to tell her, like freaking turn around and don't do it, right? But it's also like again, to be fair, she kind of brought it on herself. Hate to say it, like that's just what it kind of comes down to. Damn. Shit, I guess we'll never really know. We don't know if we were dead. Yeah, we'll keep it. So we get back on that grind. Jesus. Oh, you know what leads to that? Well, we obviously know she passes, right? But dude, what'd be crazy is if she didn't pass, but like faked her scores or something. It's like okay, it's all coming into place. But I was gonna say it's a bit different, being in grade school versus like research center like level, academics, right? But it is also something where obviously I can't speak about research centers in America because I never studied a one. The big thing though is when it comes to like foreigners and like specifically like, international students, people from like other nations, it's kind of like, and especially if it's like only a couple or few, like they're kind of out of place and something you need to have like an air or level of like caution or suspicion because you don't know like what kind of level educate like theoretically it's the same, but it's like you just never really know, right? So like from the perspective of the other members, right, who seemingly did their research study at a Japan, rather America, they don't, from their perspective, it's like they might think, they don't know or may not seem to them that like America's, research centers would be like up to par compared to what, you know, they're doing specifically. And also, you need to kind of take into consideration, kind of how Togo herself comes off, right? Well, I don't want to say it's because she's like a woman, but it's like kind of a vibe and or, what would you call it? This general like aura you give off, like if it's someone like her who seems to be kind of like happy go lucky, right? Like the less serious you are, the more again, caution, and like air on the side of caution, less trust someone will genuinely have in you, especially when it comes to, very high level, I guess, um, very high level stuff like this, right? So it's just, and especially, I guess, like if you think of like the stereotypical American versus like stereotypical like Japanese, right? It's like one is going to be more serious, more diligent and hardworking than the art, regardless of if it's actually true. And again, that one goes to I'd say the average Japanese guy rather than the average American, maybe like in the inverse in this case, where they're like fat lady trying to come up with like shortcuts and cheat system, right? But again, it's something to where what she made a good point. You just need to like prove yourself, which I guess in a sense is a bit naive and idealistic, but it is something to where it's kind of the practical reality. So if you're doing your job, and you don't really worry about, you're not like if it's like oh I'm here to do my job type of thing rather than oh prove myself right, that it'll come in time. So because you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing at the end of the day, versus where like others will inevitably end up fucking up when they try to like do something stupid. But again, so let's see what happens. I mean, obviously she passed, but I'm curious to see when we'll get to her and like Lain. So you just gotta do your job. Yeah, that's what I said. The problem is she doesn't end up doing the job, right? With freaking Lain as a client. Oh my god, freaking. Oh my god. Still can't freaking stop thinking about him. Dude, I swear, like, to be fair though, like, okay, and is there really not another? Okay, good. I was like, is it really ending? But, you can only do, what is it, so much. It seems like, though, like, because I know dudes like this, right? Let's put it this way, who their mind is like constant. I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, I need like, it's like whether or not they have a girlfriend or just or like dating or just on the prowl, right? It's like, oh, I need a woman, right? I need a woman in my life. It's like, dude, like, oh, hey, chill the fuck. Oh my god. Says this about every single guy she interacts with. That's what happens though. So I guess he's well, no, they graduated from the same, whatever. The interesting thing here is he might actually be cheating on her at this very moment. Again, it's weird because this is again one of the big questions we had was, what was actually the relationship between her and Takeshi, right? Like we're like, okay, it's completely like one-sided, right? And or, it's completely like made up in her mind. But I guess we're kind of seeing with these early logs. Well, the rumors are already starting. Oh my god. Bro, why does she say the Japanese like she's not one of them? Like you studied abroad, that doesn't all of a sudden change your ethnicity. You can take out that floor. What the fuck? So he knows too. Fuck out. Well, you told you not to mind it, so it's like, here's what I will say. So even though, well, first off, it seems like they're actually potentially like a thing, which I may have been wrong. My assumption was that it was not, and it was completely one side. She was just kind of, you know, the kid like into him, Ryan was kind of, imagining things. But it seems like more they start out as an actual thing. He kind of had a falling out. She didn't really see it, and he committed to like someone else, borderline cheating, I guess. But whatever. We suspected that anyway because we know they actually like slept with each other, and then he got married. So it's like the timeline was questionable, but the interesting thing here is, okay, obviously she's saying that, right? And it's from her perspective, but I raised the question: how do they even know about that to begin with? Like, someone had to have seen you two together, and like it had been apparent and obvious that okay, they were like going out or something. So it's like it's a question of okay, is she right to complain, or was she just being like obnoxious in the workplace? Since we know they work, near each other, right? With him, right? Like PDAs, right? What's it, public display inspection, and then it's like okay, that's how the rumor mill spread. And then also like she says like you foreigners, but it's like dude, you're like one of them, right? Just because you studied abroad, that doesn't change your ethnicity, right? Like you're not American just because you spent 4 years studying here. Like I hate to say it, it's like but it is interesting, right? So that we're kind of getting these super like early hits, and oh my god, alcoholic. So yeah, but oh fuck, I went the wrong way. I was also gonna say it's interesting because so does he know or not? Because he said specifically that freaking what would you call it? She like consoled in him, but is that actually the case? Again, who knows, right? Because now she's saying like that wasn't the thing. So this ties back into the beginning when again uh she got married, and then what would you call it? She went to like the wedding. Uh, dude, this is literally Toko. Yeah, that's like a perfectly normal time. That's not what a good friend would do. Like literally chill. Oh my God, you just met him. You freaking yeah. Coco needs to just chill the fuck out. But yeah, I will say though, because I have talked about this before, it's like I feel like there's a tendency, well, in the East it's different, I presume, but especially in like the West to like just say like especially for like women say like, oh, fuck like relationships, marriage, you know, uh like children, like focus on your career, right? Even as a guy, because it's like the whole like fucking like I hate when people say like grind, right? But it's like same with like that whole thing to where it seems like the focus much more is about on yourself and your own career rather than raising the next generation of you know inhabitants to walk this planet, right? And creating a new generation that will surpass yours. That hasn't been the case since what, like Gen X. I think they were like the last generation that surpassed the previous one, but again, something where I think there's a tendency for that, but I also think people it's a much more short term of thinking because it's like, again, like I mean, you're like I guess it raises the question of A, how long you're gonna work, B, how much influence do you think you'll really have with your work? Like, like it's you could be like, you're not gonna be like the next like CEO or like big thing, right? It's not like, you're gonna focus on your career, grind and make like millions. Like for the vast majority of people, it's not gonna be the case. And but something also where it's like, the older you wait, it generally well, from a certain point, right? It's generally harder, to not just conceive, but there's also more opportunity costs involved, right? You don't want, your kids to like grow up and need to like take care of you, right? And you need to depend on your children by having, like having kids early, right? Granted, you know that obviously it's the right person that you're capable of supporting kids, but it's something where it's like the longer you put off, right, the more opportunity cost there is there, right? So it's like 26. I wouldn't say is too crazy of an age, like well, I don't want to say it's average because I have no idea. I keep pointing out my ass, but I'd say that's definitely a reasonable age, marrying like half kids, 26, right? Mid to late 20s. I'd say getting into early 20s, that's kind of like, suspicious. It's like, okay, if you're like freaking like for example, I'm 22, like I'm in no position to financially support kids or like, very different story. Right. But like, kids at least, I'm not in a position to like support kids at the moment. I know people my age who are married and have kids, but again, kind of a different case now for them. Because usually what happens is families get involved, right? But the big thing there is by mid to late 20s, I should be. Like I wouldn't be too worried then, but like now at least it's like again, and then I'd say once it's like you're after 30, like I'll say once you're after 30, right? Once you get into your 30s, it's like okay, and I'm yeah 40s, it's like okay, you might as well adopt it at that point, right? I hate to say, but 30s on where it's like okay, clock's ticking, right? You're about to hit that midlife crisis. It's like you don't want to. Again, it's something where it's like the point being though. Also, she needs to fucking chill. Like dude, like don't ruin your friend's playing jealous. Like don't know what else to say about that. Like don't be an asshole. And we're seeing this connection though, because again, Harumi is okay. Wait, is that a dude? Hold on. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say what kind of work? Freaking late night. Oh shit! So this was like 5 years ago. Five. I mean, she's what? I believe she. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was about to say 27. And again, we're getting very close because yeah, we know that I think one of the earliest logs that we at least saw at the beginning mentioned Harumi's wedding. So yeah, it's difficult for a guy to do it, but like if if you were that invested, right? We know he proposed this to a different person. If you're that invested, Damn, that's crazy. Wait till she brings up her first fucking client. And it's like, oh no. Oh God, email. Oh, I thought she was talking to him already. But yeah, I guess, so she's finally getting ready to, start counseling, right? So, oh my God. You're really letting them live rent free in your head. We never actually figure out what her research is. And again, the whole, taking a client thing really seemed to be, I guess, inconvenient for the time. So yeah, we're gonna save real quick. Still going, just again, don't want to lose all my progress. Oh my God, Takashima. Because you need actual experience. Well, shit, we know he doesn't do a job counseling Lain. I mean, I think you'd rather not have clients, especially with how things, what would you call it, panned out. Yeah, I will say though, Lain as a first client is really, really tough, but you should have recognized that, she wasn't going to be able to handle her, much sooner. So, and again, so we're finally catching up on the Toko logs. Hey, why the fuck? Wait, what's that at the bottom? 6 months. Damn. So it's actually been a hot minute. That's a while. Yeah, Lain, we know Lain was a terrible fit. He dies anyway. Again, so the interesting thing is, yeah, because we see Toko logs here, so it's finally connecting. It's finally connecting here. So it's finally connected. It's finally wrapped around because this is what 24, and this is the first one that we saw. Oh my God. Yeah, so let's do this one, right? Let's see what was the very first one we saw from Lain. Oh my God. Very uh oh, oh my God. Oh my God. Dude, it's crazy reading this. know what she does? Holy crap. Oh man, that's low key crazy. We're seeing this. And again, we know there are some more late logs that again, we're ignoring all these like research things. Just because again, I'm probably not even it's just again too like out of order and I don't really care enough to like they're also like different ones. So kind of weird there, but yeah. Oh my God. Crazy. It's like we should have listened to the first counseling session, but I want to get through these. I don't remember how many there were, but I remember there being some like we can do the first counseling like session. What would you call it? That can be like a last thing we do there. So for the rest of these lane logs, was I tripping? I swear there was some up here. But they must just be further up. Yeah, there they are. Now it's interesting that we got some of like we had some Toko fill-ins, right? We have more Lane fill-ins here, right? So it'll be curious to see where in the timeline, these take place, right? So it's still in Site A, so nothing too crazy, but just we'll see. Misato, that was her name. Oh my God. So this is already after she had her falling out with Kyoko. Oh my God. That's what it became. So again, funny enough, it seems like two of the biggest questions we had regarding are being like answered through these past like laws. Because one of our answers is, was Masato like real, right? It seems as though she is, but again, who knows, right? Could still be just completely made up. So yeah, so again, I think these like kind of I don't think they would make these laws if Masato didn't exist, but for American schools and PE, right? Usually what happens is PE is usually mandatory, like I'd say like kindergarten through like grade like through like the end of middle school. Like that's usually when you're doing like PE and when you have like a PE class. High school is usually where it starts to be different. I know, like for example, did I still did PE, but that was tailored towards my athletics, right? Wrestling specifically. We had PE in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that was like our like PE like class. Versus like just during the day, 5 days a week. So that was what we did for PE there. We also obviously we took health, right? And like sex ed was in middle school, but we had more like general health in high school. So yeah, there's that. Then other people I know other people did like they do athletics and they would get P just waved straight up. Like I know the runners that I ran with, yeah, they none of them had P because again, I mine was specifically for wrestling because I did that too, but they had no reason to since they didn't do it. So they just got waived in general, and then people in other athletics. Um, for what would you call it? I know people did like band who did band that waved PE. I think if you did like drill or any sort of like, other kind of stuff that would wave PE too. Um, and then even when we had PE, we had like different types of PE, right? So you have the normal PE where it's like, okay, you're doing like gym like activities. But then I know for wrestling and the lifting thing, right? Go to the weight room. But I know there's also, like a fitness like health like at like cardio center, that we had that was just built like when I got in there. It was like a big thing they invested, dumped money into, but that was the thing, right? They also had P that was like specifically around they had like a sports P. So again, it's P's generally a thing, but you can get out of it. So let's put it that way, right? So yeah, holy crap, look at how much lane logs there are. Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, definitely gonna need to break this up into two parts. I'll finish all the ones on this level, and then here's what I want to say. There's no way she doesn't exist, but I don't know. You know, like I don't know why they won't put this in if she didn't exist. That's my thing. You know, yeah, dude. There's no way she doesn't exist. Okay, never mind. That's a little sus. Yeah, more technological. Again, funny enough, this makes me think that she's actually, after hearing this one, this makes me think that she's not real based on how she was describing her. But I guess, yeah, because all these, again, I found it was interesting. One of the biggest questions we had was, okay, how was Toko, with Takeshi, right? It seemed like they had an actual like relationship. And now it's like, it seems like Masato doesn't actually exist. Let's see. She's already in middle school by this point. Oh my God, back when that was a thing. But again, I will say so. Yeah, and it's interesting. All of this is about Masato, right? So it's weird, but funny enough, I think, to me at least, and from what I'm seeing, these seemingly imply that they're more what would you call it? Yeah, the big thing there is that again, it seems more I'm more likely and inclined to believe that she's not real based on these. That one struck me and made me think that very technological, but that one makes me like, where was it? This one or the one to the right of this one made the one where she talked about, again, her kind of always being around. That one kind of made me think this. It looks nice. It looks good. Oh my God, don't do it. Mr. Rabbit. Oh, we still have no idea. That things are going well. Yeah. Looks like I'll be taking one more part because the next level, yeah, there's quite a lot of what you tell yourself every morning. Oh my God, don't fuck with these. Yeah, we still have however many more lane logs left to go. Yeah, so 7, this should be 78. So yeah, we got quite a bit. And yeah, we'll save them for the next part. We'll finish the lane logs. We'll go back down and watch the first counseling, and then I'll probably call it with this series. My issue and problem is that again, I don't want to go through all these research things. Plus, I don't want going on either. So that I don't really have anything else to say. So yep, for this one. See you in the next one.